Today, we're going to talk about a sneaky psychological bias that quietly runs our lives, shaping our financial choices and even our personal ones a lot of the time, without us even realizing it's there. So let's jump right in. Okay, so picture this. You're trying to sell something you've owned for a while. Maybe it's your old car, maybe it's a piece of furniture. You have a price in your head that just feels right. But then, every offer that comes in just seems way too low, almost insulting, right? You're just sitting there thinking, no, I know it's worth more than that. And it's the exact same weird feeling when it comes to investing. You're looking at a stock in your portfolio and it's been sinking for months. All the data, all the logic is screaming sell, but you just can't bring yourself to do it. You tell yourself, oh, it'll bounce back. I just got to wait it out. So why on earth do we do this? Well, this irrational attachment, this gut feeling that flies in the face of all the facts, it actually has a name. It's called the Endowment Effect. And yeah, it's a well-documented cognitive bias, and it's pretty much the hidden culprit behind all these confusing decisions. And the definition is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. We tend to value things more simply because they're ours. It sounds kind of strange when you say it out loud, doesn't it? But trust me, it's this fundamental little quirk in our psychology, and it's wired deep into our brains. So what is actually going on inside our heads here? Let's peel back the layers and look at the hidden psychology that explains why we cling so tightly to the things that we own. So there are a few key things driving this. First, and this is a big one, our stuff gets all tangled up with our sense of self. That car isn't just a hunk of metal. It's my car. It says something about me. So letting it go feels less like a simple transaction and more like a small personal failure. And on top of that, our brains absolutely hate to admit when we've made a bad call. Selling a stock for a loss means we have to face the fact that a past decision wasn't so great. And honestly, that's a tough pill for anyone to swallow. This quote just nails it. The second you buy a stock, your relationship to it totally changes. It's not just some ticker symbol on a screen anymore. It's a personal possession. And that emotional connection can completely blind you to its actual objective market value. Now look, this isn't just some fun mental quirk to talk about. It has very real and often very high costs in our day-to-day lives. Let's dig into just how much damage this bias can really do. And you see this effect pop up everywhere. In real estate, it causes us to overprice our homes, leaving them to just sit on the market for months unsold. In investing, it's what makes us hold on to those losing stocks, tying up capital that could be making money for us somewhere else. It even affects our personal lives, making us cling to outdated ideas or beliefs, which just stifles our own growth. The bottom line is, this bias costs us opportunities, money, and, frankly, a lot of peace of mind. This chart really shows you the problem right here. The market might objectively say a home is worth, say, $450,000. But because of all the memories, the hard work, the identity tied up in that house, the owner sees it as being worth so much more. And that gap, that's where deals fall apart and huge opportunities just vanish. And in the world of finance where objectivity is supposed to be king, this emotional baggage is especially dangerous. It takes what should be a rational decision about numbers and turns it into an emotional fight against admitting a mistake. And that can sabotage even the most brilliant investment strategies. Okay, so we get it. We know what this thing is and we know how it hurts us. But the good news is we can absolutely fight back. So let's get into some real, concrete strategies to break free from this bias and start reclaiming our choices. It really boils down to a simple 4-step process. First, just acknowledge it. Seriously, just knowing this bias exists gives you a huge advantage over it. From there, you can start to evaluate things objectively, reframe how you even think about ownership, and this one's a biggie. Always consider the opportunity cost of just holding on. This question right here, this is your secret weapon. The next time you feel stuck, just ask yourself this. If I didn't own this and I had the cash in hand, would I go out and buy this exact thing for the price I'm asking for it? So often the answer is a crystal clear no, and that no creates the objective distance you need to finally make a smart call. Here's the mental shift you want to make. Instead of that possessive, emotionally charged owner's mindset where everything is mine, try on what you could call a custodian's mindset. You're just looking after this item for a while. It's a temporary thing. This simple little reframe helps you shift from being terrified of loss to focusing on actual utility and real value. And please, never forget about opportunity cost. The money you have tied up in that stock that's going nowhere, or the value of all that junk in your garage, it's not just sitting there doing nothing. That's capital, both financial and mental, that could be working for you somewhere else. What better things are you missing out on because you refuse to let go? Because when it comes down to it, letting go isn't a loss at all. It's a massive gain. It's freedom. You suddenly unlock all this mental space, emotional energy, and financial resources that you can now point toward things that are actually going to build your future. All right, let's wrap this all up. The real goal here is to move from being trapped by your own emotional attachments to being empowered to take smart, effective action in your life. If you only take one thing away from our chat today, let it be this. The most important skill you can learn is to separate how you feel about owning something from its objective, real-world value. That right there is the secret to beating the endowment effect. So I'll leave you with a little challenge. Think about it for a second. Whether it's a stock, a piece of clutter that's been in your closet forever, or even an old idea you've been clinging to, what's one thing you own that could use a fresh, totally objective look today? The answer to that question might just be your first step to making a much smarter choice.